Okay. So now that we've written our first body paragraph, we're going to write our second. And what we need to keep in mind, back to our introduction and back to our thesis statement, which is right here, we've already proven the first point, that Berry characterizes scientific research as mentally exhausting. Now we need to prove our second, that he describes it as physically exhausting. Now when we made our T-chart, we said that for body paragraph 2, yes, he's characterizing it as physically exhausting, but he's also using a similar kind of strategy to do so in that paragraph 7. He's describing the actions of scientists there in order to make this happen. So in our first sentence of the first body paragraph, we need to make sure that we say those two things. We should have a sentence that looks like this. In paragraph 7, Berry describes the actions of scientists. There's a rhetorical choice. In order to, there's that phrase again. It could be the phrase so that, but here we're using in order to. Characterize scientific research as physically demanding. And now we have a structure to our paragraph. We need to make sure we provide a quote that describes the actions and explain how that quote shows scientific research as physically demanding according to Mr. Berry. Alright, so then we look at our quote, and for that, we make sure that we go back to the passage, and we have this quote down here, of course again, describing the actions of scientists. And we see these phrases. An investigator or scientist must make them work, must manipulate and even force experiments to yield an answer. So all these actions, very strong words used. I want to make sure that I give a sentence of textual evidence that gives this quote, right? But also, just like the first time we wrote our first body paragraph, summarizes what the author is doing in this paragraph, specifically describing the actions of scientists. So our sentence should look something like this. In paragraph 7, claim, and then Berry explains that a good scientist must, quote, know where and how to look and be able to manipulate and make them work. All right. We've given our evidence. We've given the key words that we found in the quote. We've given a quote. And we've also summarized what Berry is